Joined by luminaries in the broadcast industry is what they are, really. Two giant blazing stars in the midnight sky. The sunburn beginning to appear on my face from just being in their mere presence. Scott Van Pelt and Ryan Rosillo are with us here in the program.
Why don't you just say the truth, which is two dudes that walked by that we stopped and we said, please sit down in this sea of this freak show that is this Radio Row.
I mentioned to you right before we came back from break that I've actually met you a couple times, and you're always like, hey, good to see you again. No, you have no idea because you meet a million people. Rosillo, actually, we used to talk to a lot. We'd bring him on when he was in Boston back
what
in the
happened?
day.
You guys stopped calling me like a couple years ago.
You went big time.
Oh.
Like everybody who comes on our show. We're nothing, but we launch stars is what we do.
You're star makers. You're taste makers.
That's what we are.
Right
really,
on.
To be honest with you. And so we take great pride in all the stars that we've made. And, of course, the great Ryan Rosillo, one of them. And I mean this in all honesty. You're always such a genuinely nice individual for the big star that you are, and that's quite impressive.
Well, no, it isn't. I'm a guy the same as you. I mean, it's really simple, man. My dad, I've told this story a lot. My dad was a plumber, and my dad had this saying, and I've never forgotten. He said, treat superstars like normal people, treat normal people like superstars. And you try to do that. You try your best. And to me, here's another horrible cliche, but be a mirror. If people are kind to you, be nice back. And if
I like that.
It's simple. And it isn't difficult. If someone's nice to you, it's not that hard to be a reflection of that. If someone wants to be a jerk to you, I mean, I could play that game too. Me and Rosillo both. You don't want any of that. You don't want any of ugly Rosillo or ugly Van Pelt. I'm just telling you.
So if you do happen to cut somebody off and they go middle finger and
I'll beat a guy down in the street.
You're a wild monkey with a golf club to the windshield.
No. Law-abiding citizen.
Really?
Yep.
Good to know. By the way, do you like this circus? Do you like the whole?
I miss it. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of guys that look like they've been using most of the health facilities here at the hotel.
Funny you mentioned that. We'll get to that in a minute.
When I was in Boston, I did the Radio Row for Houston, so that was the Carolina-New England Super Bowl.
Okay.
And then the next year, that debacle in Jacksonville, which is easily the worst Super Bowl that I've ever been to. I don't think I'll ever be to one that was worse than that, but it's kind of cool, man. You run into people that you used to work with or used to go on with all the time. And I know the weird thing about ESPN is because it's such a big deal, we're kind of secluded and we have our own setup, but there is a rawness to this Radio Row thing that's always kind of funny.
Yeah, you back to grassroots. But you weren't a radio guy. Radio is something you got into late, right, Scott?
It is. It's something.
I mean, you were a TV guy all the way, and then
but I saw that. And look at the path, whether it's Dan Patrick, Mike Tirico to a degree when he was doing so many things for us. Radio's really, it's a desirable format because it gives you a chance to fill in the blanks. It's a blank canvas. What do you have to say? And it's really challenging. And I've contended forever that it's so much harder to do than television.
That's where I was going, because I know Ryan was a radio guy that's not doing a lot. I know you probably had TV stuff you were doing. But more and more TV stuff you're doing at ESPN. But I know your roots coming back from radio, and you go in the other direction. I was curious. I mean, you think TV's laughably easy?
I think it's so much easier. And it's funny because I had actually heard some TV guys in Bristol weren't thrilled with my theory on the air that, look, I haven't anchored the 6 o'clock or 11 o'clock Sports Center. I understand that. But I still have read a prompter, had an earpiece in, and done anchoring when I did some shows in Boston. I've hosted live events on TV. I've had to write for deadlines. And to actually be interesting for 8 straight minutes is hard to do. There are times where I'm halfway through a segment, whether it's with Scott or especially if you're by yourself, which happens from time to time, which I think is even harder, but you're sitting there going, okay, this isn't really clicking, like this isn't really hitting, and it's an awful feeling. It's a feeling where you go, I wish I could steer this in a direction where it'd see so compelling, but it's unrealistic to think that 12 segments a day throughout the entire week, like every single time you're on the air, it's going to be the most captivating stuff. It just doesn't work that way, but it's obviously something you're striving for.
It's not like how the built-in captivation is there when you're working the NBA Combine. I mean, when you got a 6'11" guy running, that's a challenge. I'm giving you credit. That's an underhanded.
See, wait a minute. Is it underhanded? Because that's 5 people up there that have passion. When a guy like Joel Embiid is coming along, like dudes up on that desk knew about him. Rudy Gobert. I mean, you're going to be thrilled to know more about Rudy Gobert in a 5-hour TV show.
There's no doubt. We love our, and of course I draw a blank. We love him so much I can't think of his name. Former St. John and Manhattan coach.
Fran Fraschilla.
Fran's incredible.
Big 12. He's all over it, man.
Oh, but in his European.
Yeah.
I love when he starts dropping like European. Well, there's a kid, a raw project, but I'm not kidding. Those are the kind of things that nerds like me eat up. Those shows watching the guys jump, do all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. But it's not the easiest thing to broadcast, and you guys do a good job on that on TV. So
No, but it's still 5 hours of just open conversation. Like, I don't think they're expected to
It
kill
is
it. Where Scott,
That's
Yeah.
way harder to do than SportsCenter. SportsCenter, most everything. Like I've always said that if you're an anchor on SportsCenter, you're essentially a waiter. Everything's made for you in the back. My job is just to bring it to you. That's it. Like
yeah,
hey,
but you
Durant
make it. You cook it in the back.
yes,
You're writing
no,
it up.
not really. Like
Really?
tonight LeBron and Durant play, right? Well, that's the entree, and your job as a waiter, just bring this to me cooked and done, and get,
Right.
and deliver it. Now, can a good waiter make your meal more enjoyable? Sure, it can be a more pleasant experience. They can tell you something about the menu you don't know. I'm really in the wormhole with this analogy, but what I'm getting at is that honestly, the SportsCenter is about what happened. Durant and LeBron head to head. Here's the video of
Right.
it. A good anchor can help make the presentation more entertaining, but ultimately it's about them, not you. And so what Ryan and those guys are doing at the Combine is incredibly difficult as opposed to doing SportsCenter. Not even close.
I think you're modest again. I think it's all.
Oh, I'm
they're-
great.
they're-
at it.
I'll be really
I'm
good at
awesome
it.
at SportsCenter. Don't kid yourself.
my-
I'm
my-
really good at
yeah,
it.
right. The argument, though, is, okay, can you do it? Yeah, like, could I go do Sports Center? Like,
Yeah.
I'd probably get through it without letting anything on fire. But would I be really good at it? Of course not.
How'd you guys end up together? I mean,
Dating,
because
was
the
it J-Day?
It was
that
no,
what it
it was it was the farmer one, the one where
The farmers only?
farmers only.
I have a group thing for all of them, kind
A
of.
dog spoke to one of you.
BlackPeopleMeetOnline.com. I'm
This
not
is-
getting a lot of hits on that.
Here's the truth. Here's the truth. When Dan left, it was kind of a free for all. There were a bunch of different people that were on, and
Right.
I had a shot at it. And when it was my sort of space, and I figured out that I was going to have some vote for who the person was going to be, I had heard Ryan on the air, and everything he said made sense to me. I thought he was as prepared as anybody. He was passionate. Frankly, he knew more than anybody I heard on the radio. And I just said, I want to work with that guy. And the truth of the matter is that people try to force chemistry. Well, what if you were this guy? What if you were that guy? And since I kind of had a foot in the door on squatters' rights, I said, no, if I'm doing it, I want to work with him. And it's the reason that the show name changed at some point, and it changed to reflect what it always was, which was an equal partnership. It wasn't me; it was the two of us. And so, I'm proud of what in the last year. It seems like there's been a little bit more of a people saying, "Hey, you guys do a pretty good job," and it's gratifying because we fought, man. We had to push uphill on some things, and it takes a while, and it's hard to. Mike and Mike have been at it for how many years? 15 years.
A long time.
And you know how this is in radio. Traction takes a long time, and it feels like we're finally stopping to slip and slide, and maybe we finally dug in our boots a little bit. But it dates back to the talent that the guy has.
We're talking to Van Pelt and Russillo. Of course, you hear him on our sister station, ESPN 1510, and of course, see him on the TV, different projects, as we say. And that is kind of nice at ESPN that you guys get to do a lot of different things. I mean, and Ryan, you're not as, like you said, on the sports center like Scott is, but it's kind of nice. It's also they're not afraid to work you guys. I think that's the side that I don't think people always grasp.
They don't want to hear it either.
What are you talking
We
about?
take a day off. You take a day off. Like I wasn't around like the 2 days after Christmas. It's like, oh, I'd love to have your job. And we don't do physical things that are challenging. Okay, I work construction. I remember painting and thinking to myself for 8 hours straight up 40 feet on a ladder. Like, I know what it's like to have a job. It's terrible. We have great jobs, but especially for Scott now has a family, and we're in college football season, and there's almost no break. I'm talking like no days off for almost 3.5, 4 months. Like it impacts your lifestyle greatly.
I always tell the guys that come up that are the athletes, look, just so you know, I mean, this is the biggest stage that there is, so come here. But don't come here if you think it's a country club. This is TV boot camp. You will work. There are a lot of entities. SportsCenter's on many hours of the day. They may call you early, and SportsCenter's on late. So you may be asked to do a lot of different things. But ultimately, I mean, and I say this with respect to all the other entities that are out there, I think that's the place you want to be, because if you love different things, if Ryan loves the NBA, college football, there's things to do with that. I've done golf for a long time. I love college football as well. There's different projects that if you're lucky enough to have some small little piece of it, that you become really possessive of that, and you're thankful that you get to do all those different things.
Yeah, it is. Herm Edwards, still does a lot of stuff with us on a regular basis, and he's like a week on, a week off. He goes back to California, then he's out there with you guys for a week, and he's talked about it. Oh yeah, they ain't afraid to make you work. You can hear his voice.
Of
doing
course,
it. Sounds
of course.
better. My Herm Edwards not the best.
That was close. That was in the neighborhood. That was in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's right there. All right, real quick, just a couple of minutes. I think people are interested in how ESPN works, because it is a beast, an entity unto itself. But just real quick on the game, what do you expect? Tell me this. Here's a riddle we've been going over. How come only one quarterback that's thrown for 40 touchdowns in a season has won the Super Bowl? Is that just a coincidence? There aren't that many guys who have done it.
Cliches in life exist because they're rooted in truth, and defense wins championships. And how many times have we seen the high-scoring offense run into a defense? And that's why I like Seattle, is that I'll lean on defense. And picking against Peyton Manning is one of the least fun things you would do. It'd be like betting an under involving like Golden State, and you'd have to watch and root against points. You spend the whole game going, oh, it's going to get bad soon, isn't it? They're going to start making threes. Well, going against Peyton Manning is it's hard to do. But that Seattle defense and the ability to run the football out in potentially a cold evening, I think it adds up. Time-honored cliche about defense. That's why I like Seattle.
I'd like to look at that chart, though, because I think that's one of those things that sounds really interesting, but when you dig deeper, there's some holes in it. Because
but there's that point thing, too, right? Like the last 8 teams that have – the last
right, but
17.
let me just stay with quarterbacks, though. Let me talk about
Sorry
the
for
quarterbacks.
interrupting.
No,
Okay.
but like Brady, when he throws for 50, are you going into it going, man, we really threw for a lot of touchdowns. I don't like our chances. If Tyree doesn't make an insane catch or Asante Samuel hangs on to an interception, then that historical point you just make is irrelevant.
And there's only a handful of guys.
Right,
Again,
so
like I said,
I
it's
don't-
not like this is 400 guys who have all failed.
Right, so I don't really know what that means. And then in 2011, Brady's one shy of it. So does that mean he'd have a better chance? I remember there was a long stretch where in baseball, no one who'd hit over 30 home runs or 35 home runs was on a team that won the World Series. Okay, that's interesting. But what does it mean? You start off in spring training, be like, I hope we don't have anybody in the middle of the lineup that starts.
Shut him down. He's got 34.
Let's bunt more.
Sit him.
It is interesting. And part of my theory is
I'm sorry. I didn't want to ruin you. Did you get 3 hours out of that today? Because I hope I didn't ruin it.
I did not. It's just something we've been floating for a while. Look, we're in Kansas City. We're rooting against the Broncos. We're trying to figure out why it's not going to work. So here's one.
Understood.
Let me run this one out there for you. Part of my theory is that I've come up with is that the refs swallow the whistles. And because they all
If they swallow the
grind
whistles
down,
against Seattle, man.
he's in trouble.
They got no shot because those guys are going to push the envelope and they're going to make you throw flags.
And it's a crew that doesn't throw a lot of flags either.
It's a physical bunch back there.
And it's going to make it tough. All right, my final four quickies for you guys before I let you go. Let me start you with this. Van Pelt, Russillo took the shot at me and many of the other calorically challenged individuals in the room about not getting to the gym. Clearly, every now and then he breaks out the gun show. He gets to the gym. So what's he bench? I know he talks about it all the time. I'm sure he's in there telling you when he puts up a new number.
Well, I mean, it starts with a 3. I know he can throw up some plates.
So it is a conversation piece that he likes to have. Right?
I've asked
There's never
him.
been a max number.
No, I've never watched him like go for a max day, and I don't want to see it. But I know that. I mean, I've seen the guy's arms. He can throw up some plates. I'll tell you that for real. It's not counterfeit.
Best home court in college basketball?
Fog Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah, I thought I've given the Kansas fans one there.
Fog Allen Field. Cameron's really good, and
Yeah.
Duke fans will argue, but Fog Allen's the best I've seen.
Best home field in college football?
Home field in college football. Oregon is close.
You're not going to say Lawrence, Kansas?
No, I'm not going to say Lawrence, Kansas. Although
All due respect.
I think after those student newspaper articles may turn things around, I'm going to go with Baton Rouge on a Saturday night.
Baton Rouge on Saturday night.
Yeah.
All right, very nice. I like it. And tell me, were you shocked when Keith Olbermann was rehired by ESPN?
Not at all. Not at all. Talent's talent. And
He's
the
really
past
good.
is the past is the past. And we've shown one thing as a society is we're really good at forgetting whatever happened in the past. And I think people were, ESPN is smart. There's competitors out there. Bring in a talented guy like Olbermann.
He's talented. I agree. You shocked? Come on, you had to be at least a little bit like, what?
I wasn't around back then.
So you don't
Neither
know?
was I. I never worked with a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Trust me.
I read the ESPN book. It sounded like he invented water in it, so I guess it was good to bring him
I
back.
think it was oxygen. It was oxygen. We're all
Which
thankful.
is in water, too.
We're all
so.
Yeah, it's
very
all
thankful.
part of it.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
No, he's awesome, man. He's awesome at what he does.
He is very good. Hey, guys, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it. Great show. Love watching it. Love seeing you guys on TV, listening to you on the radio. It's great stuff, so thanks for giving us some time.
We appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much. Yeah, not at all. We'll do it again.